We're starting factoring, and factoring always starts out so easy. Everybody's always, oh, this is easy. And then they just struggle the further we go. So what I'm going to do is make sure that we really understand the basics of factoring so that we can build on them. And that's what's going to be so important about this. So let's try to really get down to the understanding and try not to take too many shortcuts. All right, so back when we were multiplying using our box, one of the things that seemed to keep happening as we were doing our factoring, our multiplying, is that we kept getting like x squared right here. And the constant, the number, kept ending up right here. And then we had two x terms right here. If you remember, every time we multiplied, we pretty much got the same looking quadratic every time. We're going to use this idea to factor. In other words, we're going to go the reverse. Instead of multiplying, we're going to reverse and take it apart. So each time we did this, one of the things we did was add these two boxes. Most of the time, we added these two boxes. That's critical for what we're going to do. All right. So let's look at this. X squared plus 9x plus 18. Let's think backwards to the multiplying. When we were multiplying, nearly every time the x squared ended up right here and the constant ended right here, didn't it? Okay, so x squared and 18. And then we had two numbers right here that we ended up adding together. So let's think about this. We had two numbers, one right here and one right here, that multiplied to 18. And we had two numbers, one right here and one right here, that we added. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go backwards from that idea. We're going to look for two numbers that multiply to 18. Because remember our multiplication, we had a number here and a number here, and they multiplied to 18. So we are going to look for two numbers that multiply to 18. Well, I do want us to think just a little bit harder than that, and remember that what's in front of x squared right here? Okay, there's a 1 right there. So what we're really going to find is two numbers that multiply to, all right, what is 1 times 18? 18. And that's going to help you later on, so let's just stay calm. Okay, so we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 18, and we can just use 18 because what do we know is right here? 1. All right, so it multiplies to 18. Now, what does it add to? Well, it adds to 9, doesn't it? Didn't we have these two boxes that added to 9 when we got finished? We added them together, and that was... All right, so we need two numbers that multiply to 18 but add to 9. Well, I'm going to start. Now, you're going to get so good at this, you're not going to need to write all this down, but I'm going to write down all the different multiples of 18. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. So I wrote down all the multiples of 18. Now, which one of these sets of numbers adds to 9? Well, it's this one right here, isn't it? 3 to 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 3x and 6x over here. Remember, we're working backwards from that multiplying thing. Well, let's see. I need two things that multiply to x squared. Well, there's only one way to do that. That's x and x, isn't it? I need something times x is 3x. Well, that's 3, isn't it? Isn't 3 times x 3x? Good. All right, I need something times x is 6x. That's 6. And if I did all my work right, 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 6. Oh. Well, let's check this and see. Will x plus 3 and x plus 6 give me what I want? What's x times x? X squared. What is 3 times x? 3x. What is 6 times x? 6x. And what is 3 times 6? 18. And when we were multiplying, what did we do? We added up all the boxes. So did we get the right answer? Is this the same as this? Yes. 3x plus 6x is 9x. So what we're doing is we're taking the multiplication and we're doing it backwards and we're making factors. And what are factors? Stuff to multiply. Factors are things that you multiply. So we are going backwards. All right, so let's see if we can do this again. All right, first things first, we know that's where they go, isn't it? X squared always ends up there, 12 always ends up down there. Now, we need to find two numbers that multiply to 12. So remember, there's a 1 right here in front of x squared, so 1 times 12 is 12. We need two numbers that multiply to 12. We need two numbers that add to 7. Oh, okay. So, again, you're going to get so good at this, you're going to know it, but I'm going to show you what I would write. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Those are all the ways to get 12. Okay. Which one of those pairs adds up to 7? Well, that's easy. It's 3 to 4. Now, does it matter where I put 3 and 4? It does not. So let's think. We're doing the multiplying backwards. What gives you x squared? Well, that's just x and x. Something times x is 3x. Something times x is 4x. And if we did it right, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 4. So we did it right. All right. Do we have to draw the box every time? We don't. Let's start thinking through it without drawing the box because I think we're already there. We now understand it. Now let's just do it, only we can do it without the box. All right, what do we need to multiply to? Well, we need to multiply to 12. Now, why have I written 1 times 2? Because there's a 1 right there, isn't there? So I need to multiply to 2. I need to add to 3. Well, that one's hard because there's only one thing that can come to mind. There's only one way to multiply to 2, and that's 2 times 1, isn't it? So what are my factors? My factors are x plus 2 right here and x plus 1 right here. And I don't need the box because I understand what we're doing. Right? One more. I need something that multiplies to 6. Now remember, I have a 1 here, so 1 times 6 is 6, so I don't have to worry about that. Multiplies to 6. What does it add to? Adds to 5. Let's start thinking about things that we can multiply. Well, I can do 1 times 6 or I can do 2 times 3. Which one adds to 5? It's that one right there. So now I have my two numbers, but I need to create my factors. And my factors are x plus 2 and x plus 3. All right. Let's see if this one's a little different. What am I going to multiply to? I'm going to multiply to 6. And remember the little 1 times 6 is 6. Okay. Multiply to 6 adds to negative 5. All right, let's think of the things that will multiply to 6. 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Now something right there kind of jumped into your head. You thought, you know, that 2 times 3, that gives me 5. But it doesn't give me negative 5. All right. So what else could I do to get positive 6? Because there's actually more ways to get it. What about negatives? Let's think about this. A negative times a negative is a positive. So negative 1 times negative 6 is 6. And negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. Now do you see one that adds up to negative 5? Oh, there it is. Now if it's a negative 2 and a negative 3, what are the factors? Well, the factors are x minus 2 and x minus 3. All right. You know how to start this. What multiplies to negative 10? What multiplies to negative 10? Remember that 1 times negative 10 is still negative 10. Multiplies to negative 10. What does it add to? Negative 3. So we got to come up with numbers that multiply to negative 10 and add to negative 3. Let me think. Okay. Negative 1 times 10. Well, that gives me negative 10. Negative 2 times 5. That gives me negative 10. If I look carefully, that negative 2 and that 5, it kind of jumps in my head, and I'm thinking, but that only gives me positive 3. So I'm still not there yet. What else could I do? Oh, what if I did 1 times negative 10 and 2 times negative 5? Those still give me negative 10, don't they? All right. Now which one do I want to work with? Well, look right there. If I have 2 and negative 5 and I add them together, then I get negative 3. So there's my key. So what are my factors? X plus 2. That's positive, isn't it? And x minus 5. Let's check this one. X plus 2, x minus 5. And make sure that we get this to work. Okay, what is x times x? X squared. What is 2 times x? 2x. What is x times negative 5? Negative 5x. And what is 2 times negative 5? Negative 10. Well, there it is. X squared. When I add these two together, I get negative 3x and negative 10. So it did work. All right. Real quickly, I'm going to run over this. I don't expect you to memorize this or understand it yet, but what happens when there's a number right there? Okay. What is negative 1 times 3? So we need, because 3x squared goes here, that's the same way we started the other one, isn't it? Okay, good. I need it to multiply to negative 3. Now this time it's a little different, isn't it? I don't have a 1 here, so it's 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So I need something that multiplies to negative 3 but adds to 2. Well, looky here. If I have negative 1 and 3, negative 1 times 3 adds to negative 3. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. It works. Now, does it matter where I put them? It still doesn't matter. It still doesn't matter. I'm going to put the 3x and the negative 1x. The difference now, when you have a coefficient, is you do have to have the box because you need a greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor of these two? 3x. Right? Something times 3x, 3x squared, that's an x. Something times 3x is 3x, that's a 1. Something times x, negative 1x, and if we did it right, 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. This is where we're headed. So we're not going to take shortcuts. We're going to take it nice and easy, but I need you to understand. So watch the beginning of the video again if you need to do your practice problems. Factoring is so hard for everyone. I need you to stay focused, and I need you to not take too many shortcuts. That's the dark side. Too many shortcuts, and you're zooming right over to the dark side.